All right, folks, welcome to another edition of Ranking the Songs. And today we have a special guest for you. You probably haven't seen this guy on our channel in quite some time,
Come
but no,
on.
here he is. Welcome, Mr. Thom Jennings.
Has it
Welcome.
really been that long? It's the first time this year, but to be fair, it's only the second day of the year.
First time this year. Yeah, it's been a
Yes,
long
true.
year already.
Yeah.
Do you measure up?
Do I, I measure my songs with a tape measure. You know what I'm saying?
Ah.
Like this is how I determine the length. I don't do it by time, so
Mhm.
12 inch, 6 inch, or whatever
And
the
then if you open
45
it up
is.
all the way, you got suppers ready.
Supper's ready.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So there you go. There's our band that we're doing. Genesis. We're gonna do the top 10 songs, a couple honorable mentions, and then we got a little bonus at the end. So stay tuned. We're gonna not tell you about it right now.
I don't even, it's so secret I don't even know what it is.
All right. So we usually like to get the honorable mentions out of the way so that way people can kind of see where you're heading with your selections.
Ooh.
So just give us how many you got there for the honorable mentions, and just you can list them all off right away, and then I'll
I
do
got I got to
mine.
pull this off the top of my head because I didn't actually write down the honorable mentions. Throwing it all away. I think of that one because it's like
Hmm.
throwing it off the list. That's one that it's one that I took off. Mama, that's another one I really love. Carpet Crawlers didn't make my list, which
Wow.
is surprising. Yeah, I know, because I love that Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Yeah, so here you
Hmm.
go. Just a few though. I mean,
Okay.
Genesis got such a big catalog. It's
Yeah.
I mean,
All right.
you could come up you could come up with a top 10 Genesis list every 6 months and it wouldn't be
And it
the
will
same.
change, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be the
Totally
same.
agree.
So this is where I'm at today.
All right. So my three honorable mentions, I agree. Mama is definitely one of mine. Peaked at
Yeah.
number 73. It was a big song on the radio, although it didn't chart as high as some of their other songs, but nonetheless, they still played it on the last tour and definitely a powerful song in the catalog. My number 12 was one that people were pissed about that wasn't played on the reunion farewell tour there, and that was Abacab, the title track. A lot of people were livid about Phil Collins cutting that one out and kind of ripping it when he announced the tour. And the surprise track would be the number 11, what would have been my number 11 would have been Snowbound off of the famous And Then There Were Three. And that song was written by Mr. Mike Rutherford, getting the sole writing credit on that one was Snowbound. So there you have my honorable mentions, and then Tom gave you his. So now we're gonna do them in twos, do 10 and 9, and so forth and so forth. Okay?
So demanding. This is why I don't come on the channel. You just tell me what to do.
I make it simpler for you. I try to baby steps, baby steps.
Just kidding. Just kidding. I'll try to be more serious.
Hey, we're here to have fun. Who cares
We
about
are.
being serious?
We are. Yes. Okay, so what do we got? So number 10, man, I'm gonna throw two at you. One of them is gonna be like, what? I bet you don't have any from this particular record because I love this record.
Hmm.
My number 10 is called Not About Us. You know that song?
Mm-mm.
Do you know what album it's on? Since you don't know the song, that was a silly follow-up
Mm,
question.
I would guess it's probably on the Ray Wilson album.
You got it. Calling all stations, baby. Love that record. Love that vocal track. It does not sound like a Genesis song, but it's a great song. If you don't know it, go and find it. And then, of course, from Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, an album you either love or you hate. Back in New York City. I remember the first time I heard
Mm.
that song. I just love Gabriel's vocals on that. It's just kind of a pretty cool song. I think, whenever I say I think, it means I don't know. So don't hold me to it. But I think he did that on his first solo tour because on Gabriel's first solo tour, he was still doing a handful of Genesis songs. I think that might have been one of them.
Okay.
So here you go.
All
10
right.
and 9.
Yeah. 10-9. All right. So my number 10 and my number 9 are both kind of what you would call like a common song. Songs that have dominated on the radio, songs that have been played live to death probably over the course of a period of time of when they were touring heavily. So number 10 is going to be the classic song. I don't know. This one has just always been dear to me. from Duke, none other than the number 14 smash Misunderstanding. Always loved that song. Definitely got a lot of airplay. And it just they actually did it twice on the final tour, both shows in Chicago, and then they never played it again, which is strange, but that's what happened, believe it or not.
Must have been some kind of mistake.
All right, and so my number nine is going to be the number 23 smash, Follow You, Follow Me.
Mm,
Always love that song, so that one is another one. I think the rest of the list though is definitely probably going to surprise some people. So that's what you
interesting.
got for my number 9 and 10. What do you got for your next batch here?
So that would be 8 and 7, right? So eight
Yeah.
and seven. Here's one that showed up on a Phil Collins solo and Genesis live records.
Hmm.
Any guesses? Very different
Yes.
arrangements.
Yes. We
What
know
is it?
what it is. Behind the
What is it?
lines.
It's Behind the Lines. Yeah, who don't love that song? Great song. Love that intro. And then another one that's a concert staple from one of my favorite Genesis records, "The Trick of the Tail," which will appear on this list at least twice. For all our Spanish speaking people, Los Endos, or as we say in the United
Oh.
States, the end. Right? I love Los Endos. Right? Great song. Great guitar work on that one. Just man, some of that stuff was just, I don't know, Los Endos. Love that song.
All right. Yeah, very good. All right, so we got that for your 8 and your 7. For my number 8, I'm going to dig into going back to an album that came out in 1981. We're going to go back to Abacab. And we're pulling out a rare track that never got airplay. It's just one of those songs that stuck with me, though. My brother used to play this album to death, and I shared a room with him. So you can imagine what that would be like, how you always had to listen to the whatever he was listening to at that point in time. But this song is one that I always liked. I'm pulling out Like It or Not off
Oh, I
of
like that
Abacab.
song.
Oh,
Good
I love
call,
that song.
man.
Yeah.
Good call.
Like It or
Yeah.
Not, a great song from Abacab that definitely never got its fair shake, but it's definitely
Mm.
made this list here easy, no doubt about it. And number 7 definitely is one that everybody should know, and it's probably on your list, I would almost guess. From Selling England by the Pound, talking about some clothes here. We're talking about I Know What I Like in Your Wardrobe. So that's another great song that seeing Steve Hackett's band play it live a couple years ago back at Riviera, man, sounded great. And just one of those great songs, you never get sick of.
Yeah, no, it's on my list.
All right.
So good call on Like It or Not. I forgot the lead vocals on that are just so that's just such classic Phil. It's that gritty Phil, the non
Yeah.
really the kind of proggy singing from the back of the throat Phil. Great song. All
All
right.
right.
So I got number 6 and number 5.
Mhm.
Number 6, man, great live version of this one. This should be on the great live songs as well. Squonk. Yes, classic Phil Collins track again. Just I don't know, just one of those songs. A lot of these Genesis songs, I think what makes them so great is they're just it's like name that tune. You hear the first 3 to 4 notes, you know exactly what it is,
Hmm.
and very cool. That's another one with a really good intro. Now you mentioned "Follow You, Follow Me." This is the reason that "Follow You, Follow Me" isn't on my list because I think these two are very complementary songs, kind of in the same vein. So I decided to pick one over the other.
Mm.
And my more favored, for lack of a better term, ballad-ish Genesis song, which I just think I've heard people do covers of it, and just a beautiful. Paul Carrick does a incredible version of it. I think John Wetton did a cover for a tribute album. It's Your Own Special Way, and just a beautifully written song. I mean, in terms of love songs, it's just magnificent in every way, shape, or form. Just a
Hmm.
just a masterpiece. So that's my 5.
All right. Well, my number 6. I'm going to go back to Wind and Wuthering, which would be the last album with Mr. Hackett. And we're going to go back into the Afterglow.
Ooh,
Just
good
simply
one
love
again,
love this
man.
song. It's they played it on the last tour. It was great. Just a great song. You can't deny some of these songs. They're just that good. And Afterglow is definitely one of these great Genesis songs that stood standing the test of time all these years later. They even put it in their set on the final tour, so it meant something to them, or else it wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
So that's my number six. Number five, I'm going to agree with you that you just mentioned this song in your last batch, and that's none other than from A Trick of the Tail, Squonk.
Yep.
Echo your sentiments on that one. Just a great song. The drumming stands out on it. All the guitar work, and of course, Mr. Banks on the keyboards there. Just a great song, and that's my number five.
Cool. Yeah, man, you got a great list. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little jealous. You dug deep, pulled out some cool ones. We're getting up there to the higher ones. I got number four and number three.
Hmm.
You know what's not on my list is Jesus He Knows Me. Never understood that song. Weird video too. Number four, it's a cutting edge song. What do you think, Joey? That's your hint.
Cutting Edge. So is it an 80s song?
It's cutting edge. The Knife from Trespass. You know this song?
Know it, but I'm not too familiar with it. That the
Yeah.
early Genesis kind of, that's where they were getting their feet wet. And
It's a good song. Go back and listen to it. It's a good one.
uh,
It really is. It is early Genesis, of course, because
yeah,
it's from Trespass, but
yeah,
it's pretty accessible. I think it's one of those songs that kind of, it's definitely Genesis. Some of that
uh-huh.
earlier stuff's a little different. The very first album from Genesis to Revelation, it
Oh,
doesn't almost, I mean, it doesn't sound anything like Genesis.
no.
It sounds more like kind of a band trying to be a pop band, which I get. It's okay. I'm not knocking the album. It's an okay album, just not really like a reflection of what Genesis was eventually going to become. But yeah, it's a good song. The Knife. The Knife. There's somebody out there nodding their head going, yeah. Davy Crean. It's probably going, yeah. Hope so. Davy, help me out here, brother. Where are you when I need you? Love you. This is how we know if we watch too. You notice I don't mention Davy till we get a good
Near the
portion
end.
into the video,
Yeah.
just so I know you're watching, Davy. Of course, you know what you could do is you could just go into the transcript and search for your name and you could just find it and not have to watch the whole video. I think I just gave that away to him. Number three, oh man, from the self-titled 1983 record. I remember the first time I heard the song "Home by the Sea." "Home by the Sea," second "Home by the Sea," the combination, whatever. Just I don't know. I just love it. I love Phil's vocals on this. I feel like that Genesis record, the '83 record, was kind of an answer to the people that were a little critical that they had gone too far away from prog, and I think they started to get a little edgier, a little proggier back on that one. And this is one of those songs that I remember kind of sitting around my buddies, throwing on the turntable and listening, going, "Yeah, man, very cool, very good, cool, proggy Genesis song with a great hook."
Yeah. Yeah. Decent, decent song for sure. Wouldn't have made my list because it didn't, but it's definitely one that I would have considered for an honorable mention for
Yeah,
sure. Definitely
yeah.
a good song. I definitely like. There's a handful of good songs on that album that I really like, and that definitely is one of them. All right, so that was your number three. So number four for me, I'm gonna go back to A Trick of the Tail again, and I'm going back to a song that just is a fantastic song. Stands the test of time. None other than Ripples. Just a great song. I just always have loved this song. That's one of those ones that ever since I heard The Trick of the Tail, that one always stood out as one of my favorite songs on the album. And that's what my number three is, Ripples. And number three, maybe this one will surprise you a little bit. Gonna dig into The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, and we are gonna go with
Can I
the
guess?
song
Can I guess?
called,
In the Cage.
nope,
Oh,
The song called "The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway."
oh,
Oh, for all the bashing I took for that not being high on my album ranking list,
yeah.
at
Go
least
look at
it
that.
sh
Go look at that.
at
You're the one
least
that mentioned it first, by the way, not me.
at least it shows that I still liked the song on the album. So there you go. Number three. It was pretty low there, but it's
Yeah, not even
just
on
a
my list.
wow, just a great song though, regardless.
Yeah, no, it's a great song. I mean, it said you probably come up with a top 40 Genesis.
Hmm.
I mean,
Oh
Genesis
yeah.
doesn't have a lot of garbage. Didn't have a lot of filler. Um, I mean, there's some clunkers, but I don't know. I can't even really think of any off the top of my head. But I think with an album like Lamb, it's harder to a lot of those songs. I feel like they had a second life during the Phil Collins era when he did the like Lamb is one that they did during the Phil Collins era, and I know they used to do that medley of what In the Cage and he did Carpet Crawlers. I think they even did Carpet Crawlers on the final tour, right?
Yeah, last song.
Yeah. So the Fidel Mola, whatever. Oh, but good stuff, man. I'm happy to see that on your list.
All right, now this is gonna let's see what Tom does with us here with his number two and his number one. Is he gonna kind of be
Well,
predictable or
one of them is
uh,
you previously mentioned. So that's number two. That's I Know What I Like.
wow, you really like that one.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah.
It's just I think we've discussed it, amongst ourselves, not on air. This Steve Hackett record I have called the Tokyo Tapes, just one of my favorite
Mm,
records, not just a Genesis or Genesis related record, just a fantastic record. It's got Steve Hackett and John Wetton, Billy Cobham was on drums, and just it's Ian McDonald's on keyboards. Just a great record, but that's on there. But I think any live version of this song, it kind of shows up on their live albums is great, and then the studio version, it's just a great lick, man. It's just a great lick. It's got a great hook. It's an easy song to remember, and yet it's still complex. Typical Genesis. Real, it's got a lot of prog elements and all that stuff. But yeah, I think it's a great song. And we
yeah.
saw Hackett do this one
Oh yeah.
solo and knocked it out of the park. Just great stuff.
Every time we've
Yeah,
seen him, knocks it out of the park, no doubt.
yeah, for sure. Oh,
All right.
show. My numero uno.
Uh-oh.
I think I've told you this before, what my favorite Genesis song is, and it's hands down my favorite. Like every time I hear it, it sends chills throughout my body. I think it is one of the greatest songs ever written in the history of music. I just love this song. Duchess.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And they did that one on the last tour. And I mean, I was like a baby. I mean, it's just such a well written song. It has peaks and valleys and the great vocals and prog elements. And oh my God, it's to me, it is just an otherworldly, phenomenal song. I can make 1,000 Genesis lists. This is always going to be number one, hands down, no question about it. And it was one of those songs. The first time I heard it, I loved it.
Nice. Yeah,
Did it even make your list, Joey?
that one actually surprised me. Uh, well, we got two songs left, so I don't
All
know.
right, what
We'll
do you got?
see. All right, number two is one I don't think you mentioned, surprisingly. I thought for sure this one would have been on your list. And that's going to go back to the trick of the tail once again. The opening track, Dance on a Volcano.
Yeah, yeah.
Great song. That was actually one I actually was on 97 Rock once as a guest DJ, and that's one of the songs that I was able to play. That was pretty cool. So that is definitely one of my favorite Genesis songs of all time, but there's just one song has eked past it. And my number one is coming from that great album that I used to get ripped apart for. None other than The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway once again. Yeah,
Wow.
two of my top three are coming from The Lamb.
Incredible.
But that's the problem with The Lamb is that these two songs are great, but the rest of the album, I don't know. I guess I'll have to further listen a lot closer to really get the whole album, maybe. But these two songs, no doubt, I got them. And we talked about The Lamb was number three for me. And number one is none other than the song that Genesis closed out the evening on their farewell tour with, none other than the Carpet Crawlers. Just a fantastic song. I can't explain it. This song is definitely, and believe it or not, I did not know this was going to be my number one. I figured it would have made my top 10. I never expected it to make number one, but when I compiled my list and kind of put these songs against each other back to back, I'm going, man, how can I deny this song? I just simply love this one a little bit more than all the others. And there you got
Yeah,
it.
that surprises me.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought Ripples would have been a little bit higher, but four is still great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But that's what we got. We got Carpet Crawlers at number one.
Numero uno.
So yeah, interesting. I know this is such a hard one because I know so many people really like a lot of the earlier stuff before Lamb, and a lot of those songs wound up on some other people's lists that I saw some videos on when I was doing my research. But I'm happy with my list. This is exactly how I like them, and just some fantastic songs here. And now the little surprise we're doing here. This is something we Tom threw out when we were talking about it. He goes, "Hey, why don't we pick our favorite live song from one of the live albums?" And because they've got a handful of live albums out. Only one with Gabriel, oddly enough, and that was the Genesis Live. And then they had Seconds Out and a few other ones down the road here. So what did you pick as your favorite all-time live recording, and what album was it from?
Surprisingly, it's Abacab live from Three Sides Live.
Ah,
I mean, I could have done Turn It On Again from Three Sides Live. So that whole first side of Three Sides Live, to me, it's just brilliant. Behind the lines, Turn It On Again. I don't think Abacab's on side one, but just it has that long intro and interplay, and they just kind of stretch out the instrumental portion at the beginning. It's just really good. There's the way we walk the longs. They did a couple of
mhm,
long versions of some of the older stuff, and medleys of like Los Endos and I Know What I Like and that kind of stuff. But I don't know, that version of Abacab to me it's just great. Like there's nothing. I mean, Squonk is actually Squonk and Turn On Again, both great opening songs for live albums. But if I have to pick one, if I
mhm.
got to pick one, that's it. Abacab
All right,
from Three Sides Live.
all right. So my favorite live recording, live song, did not appear on my list. So and I've seen this song performed by Mr. Hackett last year, and it was simply amazing to see it live in any capacity, because it is a long song. But I took the version from Seconds Out, and we are talking none other than Supper's Ready.
Oh,
Yeah,
is it? Supper's ready.
almost. But what a fantastic song there from Seconds Out.
Yeah.
You got to remember, Phil didn't sing that song originally, so he had to learn everything on it lyrically wise, and it's a long song. It's definitely the longest song in the Genesis catalog by a country mile. And I don't know, it just sounded really, really great on that Seconds Out album, and I really love that version. No doubt my favorite live version.
Yeah, it's I mean, Genesis live records and even just it's like I said, Steve Hackett's got some live recordings. Mike and the Mechanics, I've got a deluxe edition of the Living Years here on vinyl that includes a live record from their second US tour. Just a great live band. And when you consider, how dependent they are on the studio in terms of overdubbing and things like that, because you got Chester Thompson and Daryl Sturmer that supplement the live material or the live, yeah, because they weren't on the studio recordings or whatnot. But man, I don't know. Just I just love the live stuff. I love all the live Genesis stuff. And Phil, to me, what always fascinates me is you look at some of the more prominent replacement singers, ones that went on to be at least as big, if and in some cases bigger than their predecessor. We'll start with let's say, you know, Sammy Hagar taking over for David Lee Roth. Very different styles. Sammy really never handled the Roth material well, in my opinion. And I still think he doesn't do it quite the justice. And Dave absolutely could never sing Sammy material. Ronnie James Dio, the way he handled he did it kind of his own way.
Mhm.
Uh, Brian Johnson, to me, is a better comparison of Phil, Brian Johnson to Bon Scott, as opposed to um, some of those other ones, because it's like there's something about Brian's raspiness that when he sings the older material, it still sounds authentic.
Yeah.
And same with Phil. Like Phil's voice is unique, and it's not exactly like Gabriel's, but he handles the Gabriel material in a way that it still makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
to me, Ronnie James Dio singing Iron Man, or Sammy Hagar singing Panama or Jump, it just doesn't sound right. But if I hear Phil Collins singing Carpet Crawlers, I'm okay with it. Like or Brian Johnson singing Highway to Hell. It's like, yeah, well, that's cool. So I think that's where they lucked out. And kind of like Van Halen, Ray Wilson, I thought Ray had a very unique voice, and he's kind of the guy nobody really talks about. But there's some live recordings of him as well. I mean, he did the Gabriel material even better than Collins to some degree, because I think his voice was closer to Gabriel.
Hmm.
But I just don't think he had as strong a material to sing as far as the original stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Great band. I mean, and
Hmm.
survived some significant lineup changes. Let's not forget lead singer, and then prominent guitarist leaves. It's kind of crazy. The only one that couldn't survive leaving was Phil. You know, and they did. I think Phil. What was it? Phil's first album with Genesis? Do you remember?
His first vocal album, or the first one he came
The
on
first
board
album he
for?
was playing on.
I believe it was
I mean, it was second or the third.
Trespass, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. But another one that didn't make the list that kind of surprised me is I almost picked it as a live one, was
No.
Watcher of the Skies, because I love that song too, live.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I was still. Nursery Crime was when Phil came
Yeah.
aboard.
Yeah.
And
So there
Hackett.
you
They
go.
both came on. They both came on with the same album.
Good stuff.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Or as my friend likes to say, cool beans. Not sure what that means, but I like it. Cool beans.
All right. Well, yeah, this was a great episode. Glad to have you on board for this one, and stay tuned for
Let,
more
let's do it
episodes.
again sometime. Let's do it again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
we were
definitely hit some
we
more
were
of
talking about
these.
something interesting. I can't remember what it was. Was it Lou Graham or something like that? We'll do something. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, folks, and we'll see you down the road. See ya.